Morning again, eighth grade. We're going to take a look at page 290, which is again chapter 4, lesson 3, and it's more about functions. It says find f of 4 if fx equals x minus 4. Well, what they want you to do is see this number 4, you just replace it in there. So they want you to solve 4 minus 6. So you just write your answer as -2. Number 2, it says choose four values for x to make a function for this table. Then it says state the domain and range. So we'll use these numbers, -3 and -1, 2, and 4. The reason I use these numbers is so that way the book is the same. All right, so this spot, it just says do 8 minus, and then you copy the number down, -3. You could choose whatever numbers you want. So my answer would be 11. And then I would do 8 minus, I get my number, -1, which is 9. 8 minus 2, which is 6. And then 8 minus 4, which is 4. So my domains, again, whatever you use for your x values, that's your domains. Please list them out in order from the least to greatest. Your ranges, that's your y values over here. List them out from least to greatest. All right, we have our lovely hot air balloon. It can hold 90,000 cubic feet of air. It's being inflated at 6,000 cubic feet per minute. A total cubic feet of air is A, and then parentheses T is a function of time in minutes T. Identifying independent and dependent. Okay, so first of all, we have to think about, does the air depend on the time, or does the amount of time depend on the air? Well, if we think about this, um, the air is the dependent variable because how much air can go into the hot air balloon depends on how much time you have, right? Because if I have 30 seconds to fill up a hot air balloon, well, I can only put so much air into it. If I have 5 hours, well, then I have a lot more time. So the amount of air going into the hot air balloon depends on how much time you have. So on 3A, you just need to write down that air is the dependent variable and time, which is again, they use T, is the independent variable. For part B, it says what value of the domain and range makes sense for the situation. Well, the domain, if we had to make a little graph, remember domain is x values, y is the range. So I'll put a little d up here to remind you, and that's the range. If we had to graph this too, time. Well, time is the y. Excuse me, time is my dependent, that's my x. And how much air goes into it is my range. So what values of the domain and range make sense? Well, any number for time. First of all, can time be negative? No. So the range and domain, anything that makes sense, the numbers have to be positive. So again, the domain has to be any positive number because between 0 and what's the max? 9,000, right? 9,000. So any number between 0 and 90, excuse me, 90,000, not 9,000. Any number between 0 and 90,000 makes sense, right? Because you cannot hold more than 90,000 cubic feet of air in your hot air balloon, and you cannot go below 0. It's not possible to have a negative amount. Part C says write a function to represent the total amount of air. Okay. Well, I like to use the format again, y equals mx plus b. So how much is this going up by? Well, let's take a look at it. It looks like it's going up by 6,000 per minute. So y equals 6,000 times x. Well, x is our minutes. So we have to take 6,000 times 6 to get your answer for C, 6,000 times 6. And then when you label it, it would be 36,000. Now, again, volume is to the third power. So it says, talks about 6,000 feet. That's what we're talking about, feet to the third power. When you type your answer in Google Classroom, you will just type in 36,000. You do not need to put a comma. All right, let's take a look at the next part of your assignment. Again, on here, you do 7 times 5, 35. 9 plus 13, your answer. 3 times 4 minus 1, your answer. On here, you get to pick any numbers you would like. Do like 0, 1, 2, 3, and then put in this spot 6 times 0 minus 4, and then your answer. 6 times 1 minus 4, and then your answer. Notice again, you get to pick any of these values. Dwight Howard from the Orlando Magic, from sunny Orlando. In a recent game of 82 games, Dwight Howard of the Orlando Magic, he averaged 20.7 points per game. His approximately points scored P times G, because you take your points times number of games. That is a function of the number of games played. Identify the independent dependent. So we have to decide, does the games depend on how many points, or does his points depend on how many games? Well, his points, again, that is the dependent, and the number of games is the independent. So I'll put a little P for points, his points per game, again, is the dependent. Sorry, it's very hard to write with this program. And then the other one is his points, again, is dependent. His games equals the independent. And logically, this makes sense because how many points he gets depends on how many games he played. Now it says what values in the domain and range make sense for the situation. Well, his points per game, first of all, the games, he cannot play more than 82 because that's what's in a season. He could play less because he could get hurt, or they could just bench him. He cannot play less than 0. So his games they have to be whole numbers between 0 and 82. So your answer for 7B would be anything between 0 and 82 games. And the range, that has to be, right here, this is our range. This is our Y value. That has to be positive numbers. And it has to be a multiple of 20.7, right? Because he played one game, you do 20.7 times 1. He played 80 games, 20.7 times 80. Okay, so again, they're always a multiple of 20.7. Part C says write a function represent as total points scored. Well, again, I like to use the y equals mx plus b. And we're most familiar with that. Y equals, well, he's scoring 20.7 points per game, right? So 9 games. Yep, you're right. So you just multiply 20.7 times 9. And then when you're done with those problems, I would like for you to finish the assignment. And the rest of the assignment is work on 8, A, B, and C. And then when you're done with that, please flip over Again, after you're done with number 8, A, B, and C, then work on 20C, just 20 part C, and 21. Find out the cost to download 30 songs. Well, thank you very much for watching this video. Have a wonderful day.